Hello, my name's Jasmine and welcome to my channel. This is what I've created through ChatGPT, and as a warning, this presentation is quite verbose. Feel free to mute the video because I will be reading everything out loud. Also pause the video if you want to answer the question because I won't take breaks on every answer. And if by chance you're an expert in AI, please share recommendations on the best AI models because ChatGPT has only been a headache so far. Question 1. At SecureCom International, a leading provider of satellite communication technologies, the IT security team discovers an unusual activity on their network. After further investigation, they find that a sophisticated piece of malware has been silently exfiltrating sensitive design documents related to their latest satellite project. The malware was custom built and specifically designed to avoid detection by standard security tools. The attack appears to have been ongoing for several months, with the data being sent to the servers located in a foreign country known for its advanced cyber capabilities. What type of threat actor is most likely responsible for this attack? A. Hacktivist, B. Script Kiddie, C. Insider threat, or D. Nation state? Answer is D. Nation state. Nation state actors are typically involved in long-term sophisticated cyber espionage operations that target high-value intellectual property, especially in industries like defense, aerospace, and technology. These actors have the resources and capabilities to develop custom malware and conduct persistent attacks that avoid detection for extended periods, often with the goal of gaining a strategic advantage for their country. The fact that the data was being sent to servers in a foreign country known for cyber operations further supports the involvement of a nation-state actor. Question 2. At EasyPay Services, a company providing online payment solutions, the IT department notices a series of failed login attempts on their customer support portal. The attempts are coming from a single IP address and are being made in rapid succession. Upon further investigation, the team finds that the attacker is using basic tools to try to guess the administrator password by brute force. The methods used are rudimentary, and the attacker seems to be relying solely on automated scripts downloaded from the internet, rather than any sophisticated techniques. What type of threat actor is most likely responsible for this attack? A. Nation state, B. Insider threat, C. Hacktivist, or D. Script kiddie, also known as unskilled attacker? Answer is D. Script kiddie. A script kiddie is an unskilled attacker who uses pre-made tools and scripts to carry out attacks. They typically lack the knowledge to create their own attack methods and often rely on basic, easily accessible tools from the internet. The scenario described, where an attacker is using simple brute force scripts to guess passwords, is characteristic of a script kiddie who is experimenting with basic hacking techniques rather than executing a sophisticated or targeted attack. Green Future, a global energy company, recently announced plans to expand its operations in offshore oil drilling. Shortly after the announcement, the company's website was defaced with messages condemning its environmental practices and calling for a boycott of its products. The attackers replaced the home page with a video highlighting environmental destruction linked to the oil drilling and posted links to petitions against the company. No financial data was stolen, and the attack appeared to be driven solely by ideological motives rather than financial gain. What type of threat actor is most likely responsible for this attack? A. Nation state, B. Insider threat, C. Organized crime, or D. Hacktivist? D. Hacktivists. Hacktivists are motivated by political, social, or environmental causes and often carry out cyber attacks to promote their agenda or protest against organizations or actions they oppose. In this scenario, the defacement of Green Future's website and the nature of the content suggests that the attack was ideologically driven, likely by hacktivists who oppose the company's environmental practices. Unlike other threat actors, hacktivists are not usually motivated by financial gain, but rather by the desire to raise awareness or bring about change. Question 4. At HealthSecure, a large healthcare provider, the IT department notices that sensitive patient data has been accessed and copied outside of normal working hours. The access logs show that the data was retrieved using the credentials of Dr. Emily Rivera, a senior physician who recently resigned to join a competing healthcare organization. Further investigation reveals that Dr. Rivera had been accessing and downloading confidential patient records in the weeks leading up to her departure, without any legitimate need to do so. So what type of threat does this scenario describe? A, nation state, B, hacktivist, C, script kiddie, D, insider threat. Question 4 answer, D, insider threat. An insider threat occurs when someone within an organization, such as an employee, contractor, or business partner, uses their legitimate access to the organization's resources to carry out malicious activities. In this scenario, Dr. Rivera, an insider, exploited her access to sensitive patient data for potentially malicious purposes, such as using the data for personal gain or to benefit a competitor. Insider threats are particularly dangerous because they involve individuals who already have trusted access to the organization's systems and data. Question 5. At Safeguard Financial, a multinational investment firm, the IT security team detects an unauthorized transfer of a significant amount of money to offshore accounts. The transfer was initiated using the credentials of a senior financial officer. Upon investigation, it is discovered that the officer's credentials were stolen through a targeted phishing attack several weeks earlier. The attackers carefully monitored internal communications and waited for the right moment to execute the transfer. The tactics used suggest a well-coordinated effort involving multiple individuals, and the funds were quickly moved through a series of foreign bank accounts to obscure the trail. What type of threat actor is most likely responsible for this attack? A, nation state, B, insider threat, C, organized crime, D, script kiddie. Question 5 answer, C, organized crime. Organized crime groups are typically involved in financially motivated cyber attacks, such as stealing money from corporations through methods of phishing, credential theft, and fraudulent transactions. These groups often operate with a high level of coordination and sophistication, using stolen credentials to initiate unauthorized transfers and laundering the money through complex networks of bank accounts to avoid detection. The scenario described involving a targeted phishing attack followed by a well-planned financial fraud is characteristic of an organized crime operation. Question 6. At Tech Global, a rapidly growing software development firm, the IT department notices an unexpected spike in network traffic. Upon investigation, they discover that several departments have been using unauthorized cloud storage services to share large files and collaborate on projects. These services were not approved or monitored by the IT department and were set up by employees to speed up their work processes. As a result, sensitive company data is being stored and shared on platforms that do not comply with the company's security policies, putting the organization at risk. What term best describes the use of these unauthorized services? A, phishing, B, insider threat, C, shadow IT, D, supply chain attack. Answer is C, shadow IT. Shadow IT refers to the use of information technology systems, devices, software, applications, and services without the explicit approval from the organization's IT department. In this scenario, employees at Tech Global have set up and used unauthorized cloud storage services, bypassing IT controls and security measures. While often done with good intentions, shadow IT can lead to significant security risk, including data breaches and non-compliance with regulatory requirements, as these unapproved systems are not monitored and secured by the organization's IT policies. Question 7. At Medicorp Health Services, the IT security team notices an unusual pattern of large data transfers occurring late at night. These transfers are sending sensitive patient records to an external IP address that is not recognized by the company. Upon further investigation, it is discovered that these transfers were initiated by an employee's compromised account. The data being sent out includes detailed medical histories and personal information of thousands of patients. The breach appears to have been ongoing for several weeks, but it was only detected when the volume of data being transferred exceeded normal thresholds. What type of security incident is occurring in this scenario? A, phishing, B, data exfiltration, C, SQL injection, or D, ransomware attack? Question 7 answer, B, data exfiltration. Data exfiltration is the unauthorized transfer of data from an organization to an external destination. In this scenario, sensitive patient records are being transferred to an external IP address without authorization, indicating that the data is being exfiltrated from Medicorp's network. This type of incident is often carried out by attackers who have gained unauthorized access to the network, either by compromising user accounts or exploiting vulnerabilities, and is typically done with the intent to steal valuable information for malicious purposes. Question 8. At Aerotech Innovations, a company specializing in advanced aerospace technologies, the IT department detects suspicious activity on their internal network. Over several months, a sophisticated attacker has been slowly gathering and exfiltrating proprietary research and development data related to a new stealth drone project. The attacker used spear phishing emails to compromise the accounts of key engineers, and then planted custom malware to avoid detection by traditional security controls. The stolen data was sent to servers located in a foreign country with a history of industrial espionage targeting high-tech industries. What type of threat is Aerotech Innovations most likely facing in this scenario? A. Ransomware attack, B. hacktivism, C. espionage, or D. insider threat? Answer to 8 is C. Espionage. Espionage involves the act of obtaining confidential or sensitive information for the purpose of political, military, or economic advantage, often by a foreign government or its agents. In this scenario, the systematic and covert gathering of Aerotech Innovations' proprietary research data, combined with the use of advanced techniques and the involvement of a foreign country, strongly suggests an act of industrial or state-sponsored espionage. The objective in such cases is typically to gain access to cutting-edge technologies and intellectual property that can provide a competitive or strategic advantage. Talking too much. Question 9. At Safe Bank, a major financial institution, customers suddenly begin experiencing difficulties accessing the online banking platform. The IT team quickly discovers that the issue is due to an overwhelming amount of traffic being directed at the bank's servers, far beyond normal usage levels. This traffic is coming from a large number of IP addresses around the world, causing the servers to crash under the load. As a result, customers are unable to perform transactions, check their account balances, or access any online services. The attack appears to be ongoing and the volume of traffic increasing by the minute. What type of attack is Safe Bank most likely experiencing? A. Phishing, B. Data exfiltration, C. DDoS, or D. SQL injection? Answer is C. DDoS, distributed denial of service. Attack occurs when multiple systems flood the bandwidth or resources of a targeted system, usually one or more web servers with traffic. This flood of traffic can overwhelm the system, causing it to become slow or completely unavailable to legitimate users. In this scenario, the overwhelming amount of traffic causing Safe Bank servers to crash indicates that they are experiencing a DDoS attack, resulting in service disruption for customers trying to access the online banking platform. Question 10. At Healthcare Plus, a leading provider of electronic medical record systems, the IT department receives an anonymous email demanding payment in cryptocurrency. The email claims that if the payment is not made within 72 hours, the attackers will initiate a series of cyber attacks designed to disable the company's EMR system, making it impossible for hospitals and clinics to access patient records. The email also includes screenshots of the EMR system administrative console, suggesting that the attackers have already gained access to critical parts of the network. The message warns that if Healthcare Plus attempts to trace the payment or involve law enforcement, the attacks will begin immediately. What type of threat is Healthcare Plus most likely facing in this scenario? A. Phishing, B. Ransomware, C. Service blackmail, or D. Insider threat? And it is multiple answers. It's more than one, but what is the best answer among them all? And it is C. Service blackmail. Service blackmail, also known as extortion, occurs when attackers threaten to disrupt or disable a company's services unless a ransom is paid. In this scenario, the attackers are threatening to disable Healthcare Plus's EMR system, which is critical for healthcare providers to access patient records, unless they receive payment in cryptocurrency. This type of attack is particularly dangerous because it can disrupt essential services and force the victim organization into making a difficult decision between paying the ransom or facing potential operational downtime. The inclusion of screenshots from the EMR system administrative console suggests that the attackers may already have some level of access, increasing the severity of the threat. Question 11. At Global Trade Inc., an international logistics company, the finance department notices several unauthorized transactions being processed through their online payment system. After an internal investigation, it is discovered that cybercriminals infiltrated the company's payment gateway by exploiting a vulnerability in the system. These attackers have been secretly diverting a small percentage of every financial transaction into offshore accounts. The breach went unnoticed for months because the amounts stolen were small and difficult to detect in individual transactions. The attackers' goal was to accumulate a large sum over time without triggering immediate alarms. What was the primary motivation of the attackers in this scenario? A. Espionage, B. Hacktivism, C. Financial gain, or D. Service disruption? Answer is C. Financial gain. The primary motivation in the scenario is financial gain. The attackers infiltrated Global Trade Inc.'s payment system to siphon off small amounts of money from each transaction, which could accumulate to a significant sum over time. This type of attack is typically financially motivated, as the goal is to steal money without being detected. The use of offshore accounts to divert funds further indicates that the attackers were focused on profit rather than disrupting services or gathering information. Question 12. At Clearwater Corp., a major corporation specializing in water purification technologies, the IT department notices that their main website has been altered overnight. The home page now displays a message criticizing the company's involvement in a controversial dam project that environmental activists claim is damaging local ecosystems. The message urges visitors to oppose the project and join protests against the company's operations. The attack did not involve any data theft or ransom demands, and the sole focus seems to be on spreading awareness and rallying opposition to the company's activities. What is the most likely motivation behind this attack? A. Financial gain, B. Industrial espionage, C. Political or environmental activism, or D. Service disruption? Answer C. Political or environmental activism. The scenario indicates that the attack was motivated by political or environmental activism. The attackers altered the company's website to criticize its involvement in a controversial project and to rally public opposition, which aligns with the goals of activists who are driven by a commitment to a cause or ideology, rather than financial gain or the intent to disrupt services. The lack of data theft or ransom demands further supports the conclusion that the attackers were motivated by a desire to influence public opinion and advocate for their beliefs. Question 13. At MedTech Solutions, a company developing cutting-edge medical devices, the IT department discovers that one of their servers has been compromised. Instead of stealing data or causing damage, the attacker left a detailed message highlighting several critical security vulnerabilities in the company's network. The message includes step-by-step instructions on how to fix the issues and warns that if these vulnerabilities are not addressed, they could be exploited by malicious actors in the future. The attacker did not demand money or attempt to publicly expose the company. Their actions appear to be aimed at improving the company's security posture. What is the most likely motivation behind this attack? A. Financial gain, B. Industrial espionage, C. Ethical hacking, or D. Political activism? Question answer is C. Ethical hacking. The scenario suggests that the attacker was motivated by ethical considerations rather than malicious intent. Ethical hackers, also known as white hat hackers, often seek to identify and report security vulnerabilities to help organizations improve their defenses. In this case, the attacker left a detailed message outlining the vulnerabilities and providing guidance on how to fix them, without attempting to steal data, cause damage, or demand money. This behavior is indicative of someone motivated by the desire to protect the organization from potential harm rather than exploit it. Question 14. At TechSecure Inc., a cybersecurity firm, the IT department discovers that a large amount of sensitive client data has been deleted from the company's main server. Upon investigation, they find that the deletion was performed using the credentials of a former employee, John. who was recently terminated for his poor performance. The logs show that John accessed the system remotely after his departure and systematically deleted critical files related to key clients. Further investigation reveals that John had expressed anger and resentment towards the company following his termination, suggesting that his actions were motivated by a desire to harm the company in retaliation. What is the most likely motivation behind John's actions? A. Financial gain, B. Industrial espionage, C. Revenge, or D. Ethical hacking? C. Revenge. The scenario indicates that John's actions were motivated by a desire for revenge. After being terminated, he used his retained access to delete sensitive client data, which is a common form of retaliatory behavior by disgruntled former employees. This type of insider threat is driven by personal grievances rather than financial gain or other typical motivations, making revenge the most likely reason behind John's actions. Question 15. At MetroGrid, a company responsible for managing the power grid of a large metropolitan area, the IT security team detects unusual activity in the control systems. Several power substations are taken offline simultaneously, causing widespread blackouts across the city. The attackers left a message in the system logs declaring their intent to bring disorder to the system that enslaves us all. There are no demands for ransom, no theft of data, and no indication of any political or ideological agenda. The only apparent goal of the attack is to cause maximum disruption and panic. What is the most likely motivation behind this attack? A. Financial gain, B. Political activism, C. Espionage, or D. Creating chaos? D. Creating chaos. The scenario describes an attack motivated by the desire to create chaos and disruption without any apparent financial, political, or ideological goals. The attackers specifically targeted the power grid to cause widespread blackouts, which suggests their primary objective was to generate disorder and panic. The lack of demands or further motivation points towards a nihilistic intent to disrupt society and create chaos, making this the most likely motivation behind the attack. Question 16. At FinSecure Bank, several employees received an email that appeared to be from the CEO, asking them to review an attached financial report urgently. The email was well crafted, using the CEO's signature and company logo, and did not raise any immediate suspicions. However, after opening the attachment, the employees noticed that their computers began behaving erratically, and several files became inaccessible. The IT department quickly identified that the attachment contained ransomware, which had encrypted critical files across the network. What type of threat vector was utilized in this attack? A. Phishing, B. Spear phishing, C. Spam, or D. Social engineering? B. Spear phishing. Spear phishing is a targeted form of phishing where attackers craft highly convincing emails aimed at specific individuals or organizations, often impersonating someone the victim knows or trusts, such as a CEO. In this scenario, the email appeared to come from the CEO and include a malicious attachment that infected the network with ransomware. The use of personalized details like the CEO's signature and company logo suggests a spear phishing attack, which is more sophisticated and targeted than a generic phishing email. This method is often used to bypass standard security measures by exploiting the trust between employees and their superiors. Question 17. At Retail Secure, a leading retail chain, employees received text message claiming to be from the company's HR department. The message states that due to an issue with payroll, employees need to verify their banking information by clicking on a provided link. The link leads to a web page that looks identical to the company's HR portal, but is hosted to an unfamiliar domain. Some employees, believing the message to be legitimate, enter their personal banking details, which are then used by the attackers to commit financial fraud. What type of attack vector is being used in this scenario? A. Phishing, B. Vishing, C. Smishing, D. Spear phishing? C. Smishing. Smishing SMS phishing is a type of attack where attackers send fraudulent text messages that appear to come from legitimate sources, with the intent to trick recipients into clicking on malicious links or providing sensitive information. In this scenario, the attackers use SMS to impersonate the HR department and direct employees to a fake web page where they were prompted to enter their banking information. The use of a text message to initiate the attack is characteristic of smishing, which is similar to phishing but conducted via SMS rather than email. Question 18. At Design Pro, a graphic design firm, an employee receives an email from what appears to be a potential client asking for a quote on a new project. The email includes an attachment labeled Project Specs with a note saying the image contains the details for the design. When the employee opens the image, nothing appears unusual, but shortly after, the employee's computer starts exhibiting unusual behavior. The IT team discovers that the image file contained malicious code, which was executed when the image was open, allowing the attacker to gain access to the employee's system. What type of attack vector was used in this scenario? A. Phishing, B. Smishing, C. Image-based malware, D. File-based attack. C. Image-based malware. Image-based malware refers to malicious code embedded within an image file. When the image is opened, the code is executed, allowing the attacker to compromise the system. In this scenario, the image file appeared to be a normal image, but it contained hidden malicious code that was executed when the employee opened it. This type of attack can be particularly deceptive because it exploits the common assumption that image files are safe, making it an effective vector for delivering malware. Question 19. At Data Corp, an employee receives an email from what appears to be a trusted vendor asking them to review an updated contract. The email includes a Word document attachment labeled Updated Contract. After opening the document, the employee notices that the file requests permission to enable macros. Believing it's necessary to view the content, the employee enables macros, which then triggers a hidden script that installs a keylogger on their computer. The keylogger begins capturing sensitive information, including login credentials, which are then transmitted to the attacker. What type of attack vector is being used in this scenario? A. Phishing, B. File-based attack, C. SQL injection, or D. Image-based malware. Question 19 answer B. File-based attack. A file-based attack occurs when malicious code is embedded within a file, such as a Word document, PDF, or other commonly used file types. In this scenario, the attack was initiated through a file attachment in an email. When the employee enabled macros in the Word document, it triggered a script that installed a keylogger on the computer, which is a classic example of a file-based attack. This type of attack relies on convincing the user to open a seemingly legitimate file, which then executes malicious code. Question 20. At FinTech Global, a financial services company, the CFO receives a phone call from someone claiming to be from the company's bank. The caller states that there has been suspicious activity on the company's account and urgently needs to verify account details to prevent a large fraudulent transfer. The caller is very convincing, providing the CFO with some accurate information about the account. Believing the call to be legitimate, the CFO provides the requested details. Shortly after, a significant sum of money is transferred out of the company's account to an unknown recipient. What type of attack is described in the scenario? A. Phishing, B. Vishing, C. Smishing, or D. Social engineering? Question 20 answer. B. Phishing. Vishing, voice phishing, is a type of social engineering attack where the attacker uses a phone call to trick the victim into divulging sensitive information. In this scenario, the attacker posed as a representative from the company's bank and used social engineering tactics to convince the CFO to provide account details. Phishing attacks are often highly targeted and rely on the attacker's ability to create a sense of urgency and trust, as seen in this example where the CFO was persuaded to act quickly to prevent a supposed fraudulent transfer. And I've already done this, and the video, okay, refrain from the presentation here. I've already done this presentation. I recorded for almost 2 hours, and none of the audio was recorded. And so my throat's a little bit scratchy. It's because I've been talking too much, and I'm not used to it. And so after this, I am just not going to be talking. I'm not going to record my voice. You will just have to read it quietly, because I can't keep talking. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, so this is where I kind of got lazy. It's very tedious work, copying and pasting and re-editing because ChatGPT has been wrong on a lot of things. So I had to go back and re-edit, and I just stopped putting long-winded answers and explanations because it's already redundant. I think a similar questions came up like a few times, so I don't want to keep putting the same it's just repetitive. Anyways, okay, so I'm gonna speed up the process. If you haven't already done so, just pause the video if you want to answer it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go like 5 seconds on each slide. Okay, and I think I messed up on this one. It is, it's going to show the previous slide on the next one, but the answer to this question is C, downgrade attack. But I messed up here. It's not going to show that on the next slide. Okay, and I tried to tackle everything that was listed on domain 2, but I wanted to make it up to 90 and it surpassed 90 questions. And it's like I said before, it's a lot of work. So these are what I missed out on. I'm sure you know it because I've already kind of know. So I can't really explain all that well. That's why I'm using ChatGPT. But indicators like account lockout, it's to prevent brute force attacks. Block content like application allow list. They either permit employees to search certain websites or they block it if it's goes against acceptable use policies. Resource consumption has to deal with virtual machines, VMs. Uh, you can only hold up to like maybe I think it's 3 or 4 virtual machines before it like consumes all storage space. And missing logs is a big deal. If there's any missing logs in your log management systems like a SIEM, it could indicate that there was an attack and they're trying to cover up their tracks by deleting logs. And I didn't get to cover everything from the very last section of the objectives. Just know that segmentation is implemented to separate or spread out the attack surface. So if one section of the network is compromised, it won't affect the entire organization or the entire network because it's segmented, it's separated. Access control list, there's just like firewalls. Firewalls have an access control list. They permit traffic or block traffic or permit use of websites or they block websites. Application allow list is just giving you a list or the system a whole list of websites that are allowed to be accessed and just blocking everything else. Isolation pertains to ICS like industrial control systems or SCADA systems. You have to isolate those systems because they are very precious. They are fragile. They're oftentimes used in legacy software that's no longer supported. It's at its end of life. The vendor has been out of business. So you have to isolate that from the network because usually they're associated with like water treatment plants and just like really critical resources. And so if something were to attack that system, it would cause a lot of damage to the organization and it would affect thousands, if not millions of people, potentially causing great harm. So it's kind of scary. You got to isolate ICS and SCADA systems. Patching's been repeated so far. And it's just patching your software and firmware, hardware, patching everything, keep it up to date with the latest patches, or else you will grow weak if you leave it unpatched. Encryption, that's to protect data from prying eyes. It is to reinforce confidentiality. Monitoring is important. Always monitor systems for anomalous behavior. Least privilege principle, it's like separated duties, and one person cannot have all the responsibilities. It has to be separated. And usually when someone gains a higher position in the organization, they are granted more privileges, but that could cause issues when that happens. Configuration enforcement, always close unnecessary ports or protocols. On decommissioning, make sure devices are sanitized and end-of-life hardware is properly disposed. Make sure it has no important data in it, like confidential data. Hardening techniques like encryption, installation of endpoint protection, having firewalls, patching, strengthening the attack surface, that's all hardening techniques. Host-based firewall and host-based intrusion prevention systems. Disabling ports, like I said, in protocols is part of hardening your attack surface. Okay, default password changes, like change default passwords when you install new devices into your network and such. And removal of unnecessary software, like every time my cell phone gets a new patch, it installs bloatware or things I did not went out of my way to install. I have to uninstall, and that could consume more storage space on your cell phone and computers. That's why you need to uninstall, and you may as well uninstall if you're not using it. That way it doesn't take up space. Anyways, I am sorry. Like I said earlier, this is quite tedious work, copying and re-editing content produced by ChatGPT. I've tried having it scan the entire domain to objectives, and it keeps skipping and or repeating the same topics. And worse, it kept putting answers inside the questions. So I decided to put each listing individually, and it's just extremely tedious. So yeah, I've uploaded all the study material from books and online coursework, and it still doesn't produce high quality content like I want it to, unless, I prompt it in small doses. And that just takes more work. Like, AI is supposed to make our lives easier, but I'm just having to pivot from one thing to another, and it's like more work. It's kind of stressful. Anyways, maybe it'll become less stressful once I keep using it and study and learn more of what it has to offer. Anyways, I apologize for the inconvenience. I'm burned out. I'm learning several subjects at once, not just Security Plus. There's a lot to this field that I feel like I need to know, and it's a lot. It's overwhelming. Anyways, I will be more thorough with domains 3, 4, and 5, especially domain 4 since it's 28% of the exam. Thank you for your time, and have a blessed day.